All righty, folks. We've made ourselves happy today. I hope everybody's enjoyed the discussion, but we got to talk about just a little bit of the modern wrestling. I caught a few of the highlights of AEW's effort on Wednesday night, July 23rd, and we'll bring you up to date on that real quick, and then more good stuff next week. But having said that, what in the world are they? They're at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. They got a very not only exuberant and passionate audience, but a forgiving one. But their first match on TV, Adam Page, the new world champion, against Wheeler, the stooge of the Boar Horsemen. And they're showing a video during the match that started in a brawl on the floor where apparently all of Moxley's guys beat Colt Cabana up and got blood on him on Saturday night's Collision. I didn't know he was still there. But they have a big fight on the floor. It's the new world champion against the stooge of the group. They're not treating him like Dominic Mysterio. They're treating him like fucking Dominic DeNucci in Australia in 67. And finally, Page wins and then gets a logging chain, wraps it around his fist, and punches Wheeler in quotation marks and misses him with this giant chain that you can't work with. And anybody could tell him you can't work with it. And then he mounted him and hit him about 5 more times. That was obviously fake also. But Wheeler got juice anyway. And then he wrapped the chain around Wheeler's neck and started to throw him over the top, but decided not to do it. And then he left him. The end. The new world champion has all he can handle, beating up the stooge with a chain, and then has mercy on him. Am I thinking that maybe his title reign is not starting off to be as dominant as one might think it would be with this?
You know, there's a weird schism there between people who watch it and think kind of like what you just said, and the same way I thought, and people who think like, oh, this is such a great new kind of world title reign. He comes out, he does the promo saying everything's for the fans and he loves the fan. Just the promo last week, and then this match with Yuta, and then the forgiveness. Again, it's working for the AEW fans that like Adam Page, but to a lot of other fans, it just makes him seem like a weak, a weak baby face just waited for the right moment to be exposed.
Well, let's move on to what I thought was, I don't know if it was the highlight of the program, but it involved much of the top talent, and it should be the highlight of the program, but they have 2 more tournaments, don't they, going on? Eliminator matches for the World Tag Title shot, and then there's eliminators for one of the women's titles that some of the women hold. So this tournament thing for the tag team title was FTR against Hong Kong Phooey and Kevin Knight. And, there's something tonight if they could get him away from the little douchebag. But he looks silly standing next to the guy. But he's got 2 teams, Tony does, that could be taken seriously in a wrestling situation. And occasionally one of those pops up on this program. FTR and the Hurt Syndicate. And he's determined to put both of those teams in with these 2 dipshits till he kills both of them off. And so now we got to see FTR go almost 20 minutes with children, and I know they're trying to have a match with these guys, but they're going beyond them. They're in over their head. The first big move of the match, FTR went for the Shatter Machine on Spitball, and Knight was supposed to come in and break it up, and he forgot to, so Cash boosted Spitball up in the air, and then they all froze. And there's Spitball up in the air, and he's just standing there, and then Dax goes to hit him or punch him or something, and he's like, come in here, dipshit. So FTR put themselves in the right place for these guys and waited for them to do their stunts, but It's not being productive. It went through 2 breaks. Did you see the part where Fooey did the moonsault off the top rope to the floor and missed both, went right over the top of both of them, and they all fell anyway?
I did see that, yes.
It's good that he can backflip like that and land on his feet, but isn't he supposed to hit the guys that he's supposed to be diving on?
It should look like that at least, yes.
There should be some suggestion of that. So finally, Dax beat Kevin Knight by holding Stokely's crutch for leverage. So they didn't even beat Spitball. So then they go to do the promo, FTR and Stokely, and they're booing over Stokely. Stokely's mad. He's got the crutch because he got speared by Edge. Edge belongs in prison. He's screaming over the people, and then they play Edge's music. And Edge comes out on the stage, but he's not allowed to attack FTR. Brian, if Stokely can go to Tony Khan and get Tony Khan to agree that if Edge attacks FTR, then he'll fire Edge, then if you were another wrestler on the roster, wouldn't you be going to Tony Khan saying, well, how about nobody can attack me either?
Yeah, this is the Andrade Sammy Guevara thing. You'll get fired if you hit him. All right, I'm going to punch him right in the mouth. It doesn't make too much sense why the heel manager would convince the commissioner, the owner, the general manager, whatever it may be, for this. Like, there's no reasoning for this stipulation all of a sudden.
Well, and also it's like the Intercontinental title or the what is the goddamn title?
The
now
unified.
I've made fun of it so much. The unified Continental, whatever the fuck. Some of the rules for one of those titles is that nobody can interfere. And as I've said before, well, if you can make it that way once, then the fans know you could make it that way anytime you want. So then that means every time that somebody interferes, it's a promoter's fault. But I digress. Edge comes out and he's not mad at these people at all. He's being very blasé about this. He said, well, I may not be able to attack you, but I've made a deal with somebody to do what I can't do. And then they play the Hurt Syndicate music. So now the babyface has made a deal with other heels to fight the heels that he's not allowed to fight. This shit is gibberish. Then the Hurt Syndicate hits and fights FTR, and they got security, and they're all over the floor. And the Hurts leave FTR down. So in the ring, Edge tries to spear Stokely, but Stokely shoves the security guard in front of him, and the camera missed it anyway. They had to replay it. But Edge speared the security. Why was Edge trying to spear Stokely? Because wouldn't that count?
I guess
wouldn't that be the main goddamn thing?
I guess he can't hit FTR, but he could beat up the manager who arranged for that arrangement.
Like he did last week.
That's right.
Stokely forgot to include himself.
You know, when the...
I'm just sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say at this point, we're 40 minutes into the show, and then they're going to come back and do another thing, but go ahead.
No, this segment had been going on for seemingly 40 minutes. If you go to the beginning of the tag team match, when the Hurt Syndicate came out, my first thought was, oh, I guess I was wrong. They're baby faces.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess that's what it is. I mean, the other way is that they're not heels. They're not faces. They're, in a sense, bounty hunters. You hire them, whether you're a heel or a baby face, and they'll beat up whoever you want beaten up. And they left the heels laying. So,
but is that a standard babyface move for Edge to say, well, I'll just pay these other heels to fucking...
Well, he's getting a lot of money. No, I mean, it was a whole interesting series of events. I have to say, it was my favorite thing on the episode, because I was intrigued by just the way everything was transpiring. It's now multiple times this has happened where a match or a promo doesn't end. It just kind of goes into the next thing. And before you know it, you're like, oh, there's all new people out here. What's happening?
Yeah, you've lost your thread to the the start of the thing. Well, wait a minute. Nobody was out here when this whole thing began.
Why are they even having this eliminator tournament if they could just get a match with them right now? What do you need the tournament for? Okay, FTR won the match. Just give them the match. They have to go beat another team to get to the match? The heels have to overcome all these obstacles?
Yes.
To get to the baby faces?
Every good heel has to have a mountain to climb to triumph over a no good baby face. Rats, double crossers. So then they did another thing, which we'll get back to. But to get back to this thread, they were now in the back of the arena. And Renee Moxley Good is talking to the Hurt Syndicate. And MJF comes in. He's like, what the fuck? It took me months to get in this crew. And now we're just boys with Edge. Apparently they didn't consult him. And MVP's like, it was business. And MJF is, well, how about helping me with my world title and the page? And where were you? And da-da-da-da. And Lashley grabs MJF and slams him up against the locker and says, I want you out of the Hurt Syndicate. And I'm like, God damn it.
That was quick.
Exactly. Now, the only good thing they had going on the TV for weeks was MJF trying to get in this thing. And now we go, okay, we got this big super group. It's the cream of AEW heels, no pun intended, super group. And we'll see what goes on with this. And they're trying to help each other. And then eventually there'll be ill feelings. It's been what a fucking month. He gets in the group. There's no babyface teams worth the Hurts working with. And there's been nothing with them trying to help MJF. And now they're already jacking him up against the locker and potentially switching babyface because the only team they've got to work with is also heels with a manager. So are they blowing the MJF deal off already?
And if not, what does this say? If the idea is to not blow it off yet, and we're already teasing this kind of dissension weeks after we kind of got past this kind of dissension, what does that tell you?
There's a lot of dissension. I think almost too much dissension.
Right? Lashley went from not wanting him in the group, but playing around with the thumbs up, thumbs down thing, to accepting him. They all seem to be getting along great. And then all of a sudden, on this episode.
Yeah. You've gone too far. You've come in and interrupted my interview.
How much did Edge pay? If it's just business, I'd like to know how much it cost. Is there paperwork?
Well, only if Jack Pfeffer was involved. Otherwise, I think this has all been done on a verbal deal. But I'm beginning to think that MJF, Brian, may have made a poor business decision. Maybe he got into business. If they're all about the business, he got into the wrong kind of business with the wrong kind of business people. Maybe just maybe he could have taken his brand, him as an individual, the brand of MJF, and had a dream. You know, when we were young, we used to have such dreams. When we were young, it seemed that life was so magical and logical and lyrical. You could dream about being an astronaut or a president or a princess. But then you get older and your dreams change because as they're smashed on the rocks of reality, you know, you just got to make money. You just got to stick your hand in the other son of a bitch's pocket and take everything he's got. It's a dog-eat-dog world. You don't want to be wearing the milk bone underwear. No.
You want to be fair.
You got to go out there and you got to take care of yourself, Brian.
Well, we got to take care of our fellow man. We should also take care of our fellow man and society. And of course, a great way to do that is good advice. And maybe that's where you were going. Good advice.
Yes.
For MJF or any of our friends out there.
At Shopify, our friends at Shopify can take your dreams and turn them into reality. And most time, by the time people get to be of adult age where they need to make money and pay the bills, they're dreaming about screwing the other guy over, taking his money and walking off with it. Well, Shopify is going to help you do that, folks, because they're the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States, right there with Shopify. They got the purple pay button, all that stuff that makes it so easy. They can fix you up with websites. They can enhance your product images. They can write descriptions. They can run social media campaigns. They've got the whole way to take the money from other people and put it in your hands. They'll stick their hand all the way deep in your pocket and deposit that money. And you'll think they've got their hands so deep in your pocket that they must feel a little crazy. Well, if they go deeper, they'll feel a little nuts.
No, I know. Again, and what it'll be a direct deposit into your account for your business.
Well, it'll be a direct deposit, all right. They'll be right in there before you know, but they'll be putting money in your pocket, and that's the way you want it to happen. Turn those dreams into that magic sound that we hear now every once in a while. When you have access, yes, that thing there that scared the shit out of me.
It's a magical sound now.
Yes, it's magical. And it turns dreams into reality. It signifies that you're making money. Because at cha-ching, everybody knows what that means. That's not a child running you over on a bicycle with a fucking little puppy in her basket. It is indeed the sound of filthy lucre pouring into your bank accounts because Shopify has turned your dreams into reality. And you can right now sign up for your $1 a month trial period where Shopify will show you all the ways that they will strong arm people into turning their hard-earned currency over to you under threat of potential bad malingering consequences. Shopify.com/JCE. You can get that $1 a month trial period. Boom. Tell me that there is any way that Shopify could not make themselves worth $1 to you just to show you what they can do. It's insanity. I think you need to give them $2.
Well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Well, you should.
No, why? You take the deal they're offering you, which is a great deal.
Well, take the $1 a month deal for yourself and then take $1 a month trial period for some other schlub you know with a dream. And they can fucking turn his dreams into reality too. And then he'll owe you. And then you'll have him under your thumb where you want him. And he'll be over there fucking cutting your grass and toting your fucking heavy stuff. And
all right, everyone wants a Biff Tannen, and I guess the way to get there is Shopify. Get your business going with Shopify. They power our online store. You want t-shirts from the Drive-Thru, Travis Heckel artwork, ArcadianVanguard.com. Guess what? Powered by Shopify, available on the Shop app. That is the store you want your products on, and Shopify is the partner you want to power your business.
Yeah. Shopify.com/JCE. If you want a bunch of subservient schlubs under your thumb at all times.
Potentially. It's not a promise or anything. No guarantees.
Well, just get everybody else. Spend $10 and you'll have 9 slaves.
No.
Get them all $1 a month trial period. They'll owe you forever.
Once again, Shopify.com.
Yes.
JCE.
For mindless zombies doing your bidding. And then every time a zombie gets his brains, you hear cha-ching. Speaking of a zombie, but he hadn't found his brains yet, Osprey was out there. Did you hear about this now?
I watched this live, and, it's one of those things when you're watching the promo, you're like, oh no, here comes the announcement. And I guess that was obviously the thing they wanted people to feel before they didn't really get the announcement.
Well, but I don't know what is legitimate and what's not with these people in the area of admitting injuries or whatever, because his story is, and Tony Schiavone actually stayed in the ring and held the microphone. That was nice of him to be an announcer for once. But Osprey cut the promo with a very solemn update that he's had neck issues. It's been bothering him for 10 months now, and he's hidden it. He hadn't told the doctors, and he should tell the doctors. He should tell the referees. And he's got 2 herniated discs. But he hopes to be back for Forbidden Door in a month. It's treatable. He's going to get the right therapy. Now, you could easily believe that one of these guys would have herniated discs, and you can easily believe, because some of them have done it, that they would hide that condition so they could keep on doing their dream job. In the old days, it was because if they know I'm hurt, I won't get paid. Now it's just, but we can't, disappoint anyone. But at the same time, Is there something there and they're making it sound more serious because Forbidden Door is coming up and they want to? Why would they want anybody to wonder whether he was going to be there or not? Wouldn't they want everybody to know if they had the chance to that Osprey was going to be there for sure? So there has to be something to this, but who knows what the severity
But
is.
when the promo started, the way it was going, and you could hear in the crowd, you hear like a noticeable groan when he mentions his neck. As soon as he says my neck,
Yeah.
everyone. And you expected the announcement. I have to have surgery. I'm going to be out. It happens to a lot of guys in this generation. Just happened to Kevin Owens after, 20 years plus of that style. Osprey's younger. And Osprey's been wrestling a pretty high-flying, body-defying. I mean, just moving your body constantly and landing in ways that you're not supposed to at speeds.
Moving your body in directions in which you should not be going.
It's a spectacular style, but you would think if there was a style that would lead to a body breaking down relatively young, it's that style. And we've seen Omega, who he may be hurt again out of the Okada match. He could work a few matches a year, but even that's getting to be a tough thing because of the style he established. And it's not one that lends itself to longevity. But, it could always happen. But when Osprey went to his neck, it sounded believable. Everyone believed it.
Yeah.
Everyone said,
it's not, again, this is, it's good pro wrestling in that, it's plausible. This could be a believable story, but then it's bad pro wrestling in that, we believe it because this guy's in a fucking car wreck every week. But at least Tony didn't put the world title on him. Because now he, be out for some description. It's not like he has to go home and spend time with his wife. They just hired his wife. Now, is he going to be home in England and his wife is over here wrestling?
Yeah, she ran out to silence later on in the show.
Well, no, you misunderstand. It's just people were cheering in sign language.
You're right. I misunderstand.
Yeah. Anyway, after all of that, blah, blah, with the hurts in the back and everything, they had Tony Storm and Billy Starks. That should be it. Tony Storm and Billy Starks had a match. Billy Starks is the gangly young teenage prodigy from Louisville, Kentucky here. I worry about her. She sticks her tongue out all the time, and sooner or later, she's going to bite it off. Tony Storm won, but here came Athena. Brian, how many times did she try to hit Tony Storm, and how many times did she actually land the blow? Did you? I kept count.
I figured you may have a count. I won't guess.
Well, Athena came in with the contract case, right? That metal clipboard or whatever that they've got their version of the Money in the Bank in. And she takes the big swing, and Tony Storm put her hands up and she basically blocked it. And so she missed her with the big swing that Tony Storm took a bump for anyway. Then she got Storm in front of the stairs and she ran her head into the steps 3 times. And that looked okay. There wasn't anything to write home about, but it wasn't bad. And then as Tony Storm is sitting there in front of the steps selling, Athena runs toward her, and in effect, she was trying to make the people believe, apparently, that she was running her pussy face first into Tony Storm's face, or I guess pussy first. You know what I mean? The pussy in the face spot. And it was going to be bam, like she'd crush her in between the pussy and the stairs. But she clearly went over her head and just ran her own thighs into the stairs, and Tony Storm's head was in between her taint area. It missed is what I'm trying to say. How can you miss somebody sitting there in front of you with your own pussy? Have you ever missed anybody with your pussy?
This is a problem I have not encountered just yet. But the day is young.
She ought to have a scope on it or something.
What do you think about how far they're pushing all the Tony Storm pussy stuff.
And there's pussy for and pussy against. She bit somebody's pussy. Now somebody's hitting her in the face with pussy. And then Alex Windsor came out and didn't touch anybody's pussy, but she made a save. As old Athena was going to cash in, or who was going to cash? Somebody was going to cash in. All right, let's cash out. Did you enjoy Swerve Strickland versus Chia?
You know, I'm not a Hechicero fan. I know they just signed him and they really like him. And I think a lot of it's just the kind of generic working on a show down the street kind of look. I don't know. Maybe I'm being unfair to him as a wrestler, but he looks so cheap that it makes me not want to watch him have a long competitive match with the top contender.
And then only lose by disqualification. Because they have the match, and Swerve wins by disqualification when Archer comes out, knocks him off the top rope. They beat up Swerve, and then here Bandito and Brody King come out and make the save, and they have a sloppy fight-off between the two heels and the two baby faces. As Swerve gets up, Okada comes in and whacks him in the back with a chair. And I've never seen anybody do it, but he can. Okada makes hitting somebody over the fucking back with a chair boring. And then he goes to do something else, but Swerve gets right up and levels Okada and puts the chair on his neck and backs all the way up across the ring to Milk, gonna run at him and kick him. And Okada just pulled the chair off his head and rolled out.
Yep.
Well, it was smart, but it was flat. Smart and flat. And now Swerve, I guess, is the one that has to try to get something out of this lazy bastard.
Well, he's a champion. He's the unified champion, so it gives Swerve something to go after, and we'll see what happens. Couldn't beat Hechicero. I guess Hechicero, in a way, deserves another match. He shouldn't just go to Swerve versus Okada. Maybe Hechicero deserves a shot at Okada.
What about a three-way? All right, well, so they're playing the MJF card again. They think, oh, God, the whole show's gone to shit. Let's get MJF back out there, see if the ratings will bump up a bit. But he does the promo in the ring where he doesn't need Lashley to get the title back. He's going to beat Adam Page without even having to execute his contract, blah, blah, blah. And then Mark Briscoe's music plays. And so they're continuing this with him and Mark, and I'm not opposed to it. But there was a lot of time given to this to get very little result out of it. Mark was mad because MJF stole the casino gauntlet from him, and he wanted a one-on-one match next week, and MJF said no. And then he told Mark off because he's a loser, and it was dragging, even though I like both these guys at this point in the show, and MJF is verbally destroying Briscoe, and Briscoe's, even though he's on the ramp, he's got to stand out there and listen. Why don't he just come out there and just beat him up at this point? Would you wait that long when he said all those horrible things? And then finally, when MJF said, well, at least the fans did respect your brother Jay and not you, then Mark hits the ring and MJF runs off. So it's nice they were there, but it's nothing that did they do the same thing last week? Or was it the week before?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And obviously Briscoe would be doing other things before the end of the night.
Well, yeah, because this was another one of those segments that goes into anything, but go ahead.
The MJF thing got me thinking, if he actually wins a title match, if he gets a title match against Adam Page, and he loses, can he cash in right after his own match?
Well, that would be an interesting way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Right? I mean, you lost, but you know the other guy already got the shit kicked out of him. You're prepared for this, win or lose. Then you get a second match right afterwards. Are you allowed
that
to do
actually would be a neat little out to give a babyface champion that deserved an out, not Paige, but somebody good. But yeah, the babyface wins, but after the match, he gets whacked in the head with the fucking contract case, and the guy cashes in and fucking beats him there. That'd be some heat in a legitimate wrestling company.
What do you think?
Anyway.
You asked me, what do you think about the way they're using Mark Briscoe here with the MJF stuff?
Well, as I said, I like the idea of Mark and MJF having matches, and I like them, the idea of having dueling promos, but this just, it was the same kind of stuff they did the other day, and it just leaves Mark standing there in a lot of cases. And so normally I would say Mark needs to prove in a couple of instances that he's smarter than MJF. He needs to outsmart MJF and come out on the, not in a way where he beats the fuck out of MJF, but where he embarrasses him and outsmarts him and pisses him off, that type of thing. So then MJF could get heavy heat. But MJF is in this title thing and he's with the Hurt Syndicate, and all these angles are so split up that it's not really the time for Mark Briscoe, the way he's been presented, to fucking be outsmarting MJF. It's cluttered, is what it is. I believe there's no clear direction for everybody. They're all over the fucking place. And speaking of all over the place, Mark was still out there because he had a match with Claudio. And again, not exactly a marquee main event, but they went 13 minutes so they could get to 10 o'clock at night. And then when they got an overrun, 1 minute after 10, Mark wins with a small package. Okay, great. But then Marina Schaefer comes in and is the one to clip Mark Briscoe's leg and stop him. And then here's the bunch of them. Dick the Boozer's on the microphone droning. Wheeler comes out. They're going to get heat on Briscoe. Page comes out to the ring all alone with his microphone in his hand and gets in the ring, and all these people that have gang jumped everybody just let him stand there and fucking tell Moxley off. And he tells Moxley, I can beat you again and I can handle the pressure. And he had some more fake flowery verbiage that he thinks up that makes himself sound fake. And then he says, next week, it's you versus me for the title. And since I'm the champion now, we're going to play by my rules. Everybody is banned from ringside. And I'm going to tell you right now, since I know what your answer is, it's yes. And then he walked off. And Tony Khan, within 10 seconds, made it official. And 3 seconds after that, they had a complicated graphic up on a screen airing the match and stipulations. Okay, then how come they don't just have every match where everybody's banned? And then they wouldn't have been able to do the last 9 months of Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman. But the people wouldn't be screwed over time after time. Now they're going to do it on TV.
Well, big main event next week. The rematch from All In Texas. Adam Page versus Jon Moxley. No Wheeler Yuta, no Marina, no Claudio. Be very interesting to see what happens, but that was AEW Dynamite.
Yes, it was. And the only other thing we need to know is, did anybody watch this thing and how many?
Well, it's starting to become a very familiar story. AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday, July 23rd, 8 to 10:05 p.m. On average, watched by 608,000 viewers.
Oh, so they're back up over 6. That's what, 15 or 20 ahead of last week?
It is 3% up from last week, which was 588, although it is the lowest number in the key demo since April. So the overall number was
you
up.
Think the all night they just opened that all night Wawa here down on, I think it's on Preston Highway. That may have taken
Get out of here.
Some of that demographic.
You guys got Wawa in Kentucky? I thought that was just at first I thought it was just a Pennsylvania, South Jersey thing, but now they're up here in North Jersey and they're kind of spreading.
No, it was on the news. There were people standing in line in this weather, in this shitty weather, for the fucking convenience store to open. And it was packed and jammed, and they had news reports on it. We got a Wawa. I've been to Wawa. Wawa ain't that fucking gaga, is it?
Dennis Carluzzo introduced me to Wawa. I'd never heard of it before. And he's like, we're going to Wawa. I'm like, what is that? I thought it was like an amusement park. I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, we're going to get a sandwich.
Yeah, it's a convenience store that has sandwiches and donuts. What the fuck? People are easily goddamn pleased these days. But go ahead.
Again, Wawa obviously had a big effect on this overall number, 608,000 this week. Let's go to the quarterly hour breakdown. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Adam Page and MJF's backstage angle. Page,
They had a promo where they talked to each other.
or as it's called by WrestleNomics, an angle. Page versus Wheeler Yuta. Billy Starks and Athena's backstage promo. I don't know if you saw that, but that wasn't very promising.
I managed to skip that.
And the start of FTR versus Jet Speed. 669,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay. That is the worst start that I can remember in recent memory. So the good thing about that is they don't have far to fall. They should be fairly consistent.
And that is the high point in the key demo, since that's part of the story this week. 18 to 49-year-old men, 236,000. Quarter 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Jet Speed versus FTR. Picture-in-picture twice. 578,000 viewers. 177 in the key demo.
Good God. Okay. That's really bad. And they lost, what is that, 89,000, but they have to come back up at some point to make their average now. This is going to be one of those type of shows.
Well, we go to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of Jet Speed versus FTR. The post-match with Stokely Hathaway, Cope, and the Hurt Syndicate. Nick Wayne and the Patriarchy's backstage promo. An ad break. And then Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir's very theatrical multi-camera promo. 617,000 viewers.
So they did manage to fluctuate 22, 30, 39,000.
You know what? I got to look at other weeks, but the appearance of Cope, I think, is something that has helped them. It doesn't give him a giant boost, a giant jump, but even though he's not...
But it's like something's going on here.
Yeah.
Let's come back and see what's happening.
Quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Will Ospreay live promo, an angle with Swerve Strickland, or I guess Will Ospreay greeting Swerve and hugging him, or whatever the hell that was. Julia Hart and Sky Blue and Tekla video. Willow Nightingale backstage promo. An ad break.
God, I'm glad I missed all this stuff.
The Hurt Syndicate backstage angle. And the start of Tony Storm versus Billy Starks. 578,000 viewers.
Right back where we started from. They actually went back to the exact number of quarter 2.
Well, we go to the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter 5.
Top of the hour, baby. Top of the hour to you.
9 to 9:15 p.m. The continuation of Tony Storm versus Billy Starks. And the post-match with Athena and Alex Windsor. And an ad break. 597,000 viewers.
So they picked up 19,000 at the top of the hour. At this point, beggars can't be choosers, but they've had more quarters under 600 than they've had over.
Apparently other people thought the way I did. We go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The Don Callis ramp promo and Hechachero versus Swerve Strickland with picture-in-picture. 573,000 viewers.
Ooh, that's the low point so far.
That will be the low point for the night. Also the low point in the key demo, 169,000. So Hechachero versus Swerve wasn't doing it for the fans. We go to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The post-match of the previous match. with the Don Callis family, Bandito and Brody King, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony's backstage promo, an ad break, and the MJF Mark Briscoe live promo, 631,000 viewers.
Good Lord. So the MJF card must have worked, because do you see anything else in there that would have attracted any major amount of viewership?
No. Obviously, that match lost a ton of viewers. I don't think the post-match really gained a lot, but let's see what the rest of the show tells us. We got a 8:15. I remind you, we have an overrun. 8:15, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Mark Briscoe versus Claudio Castagnoli with picture-in-picture. 621,000 viewers. 5-minute overrun, it says here. I think it said 8 minutes before, but 5-minute overrun.
It was 5. It was 5.
The continuation of Briscoe versus Claudio in the post-match with Adam Page and the Death Riders. 609,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. They bring out the big guns and lose viewers in that. But the 631 and 621 finish for this show is amazing. They should at least thank their lucky stars on that one.
That they got people back after what clearly made people leave is the interesting thing. The MJF segment into Briscoe versus Claudio, but Briscoe versus Claudio is kind of a continuation of the MJF segment. It never ended.
So at least they kept them.
Yeah. Well, that's AEW Dynamite for July 23rd, 2025.